Welcome to Bethphage TV. Today, we journey back to a world where shadows were long and fear ran deep. Back to the pages of the Bible in Exodus, chapter 1. When the chosen people of Israel, though strong and increasing in number, found themselves not in a promised land, but trapped within a dark and oppressive reality. A new Pharaoh arose, one who did not know Joseph. And in his heart, a terrifying plan took root, designed to crush a people's spirit before it could truly rise. In a hidden chamber, far from the light of day, Pharaoh spoke a command that should never have been uttered. A decree so cold, so brutal, it targeted the very breath of the future. Every newborn son born to the Hebrews was to be cast into the dark river of Nile. It was a time of absolute tyranny, where obedience to the king meant a horrifying betrayal of life itself. But even when all hope seemed lost, two names emerged from the shadows. Shiphrah and Puah. Simple women. Midwives. Ordinary heroes thrust into an extraordinary choice. Would they tremble before the ultimate power of Pharaoh, the man-god of Egypt? Or would they choose to fear the one, true God of Israel, the Almighty God who values every single life? Their defiance was quiet, dangerous, and it would set in motion a powerful chain of events that would defy an empire. How did these brave women, with nothing but their faith, stand against the mightiest kingdom on earth? Their story is one of unwavering courage, clever wisdom, and a profound love that could not be extinguished. To discover how the fear of God can change the course of history, you have to watch. Prepare to meet the brave midwives.
We establish the oppressive reality for the Hebrews in Egypt. Instead of generic suffering, we see the scale and exhaustion of their labor, and the fear in Egyptian eyes. The scene closes on a wide shot of the growing Hebrew population at dusk. Imagine a time when being chosen meant being feared. The Israelites had grown strong in Egypt. Too strong, the new Pharaoh thought. His fear turned into cruelty, and cruelty turned into a heavy burden. But even under the whip, life found a way to multiply, and that terrified him.
Here, drink. It will help. Thank you. I feel better.
In a world overshadowed by fear and hardship, two women quietly stood apart. Their names were Shiphrah and Puah. They were more than midwives. They were pillars of their community, women trusted with the most sacred task of all, welcoming new life into the world. Among the Hebrew families, they worked with compassion and care, bringing hope where pain and struggle were constant companions. Their gentle presence stood in sharp contrast to the cruelty and suffering surrounding the labor camps. Shiphrah and Puah, names that mean fair and splendid. Yet their true beauty was not only in their names, it was in their courage. For they were midwives, the quiet guardians of life. Pharaoh's fear had grown until it smothered every trace of mercy. So he summoned two women, Shiphrah and Puah. They were brought into the heart of his power, his grand and intimidating palace, a place where even whispers carried the weight of command. Then Pharaoh spoke in secret. A decree so horrifying it could make your stomach turn. He ordered them to do the unthinkable. When Hebrew women gave birth, the baby boys must not live. It was a command that struck at the very core of who they were. For Shiphrah and Puah were midwives, women whose calling was to protect life, not destroy it.
Great Pharaoh, we have heard the decree. We will obey. There, there, my sweet one, you are safe. Such a precious gift. Shh, rest now.
The palace doors closed behind them. Shiphrah and Puah walked away from Pharaoh's command and returned to the Hebrew settlement. There, life continued. Mothers labored, babies cried, and the midwives did what they had always done. They delivered the children. They protected them. But this time, every birth carried a quiet act of defiance. Think about that for a moment. The king of Egypt, powerful, feared, almost worshipped as a god, had given them a direct order: obey him, or obey the one true God who values every life. Shiphrah and Puah knew exactly who they feared more. And in that moment, they made their choice. They chose the God of Israel. Pharaoh soon realized something was wrong. Despite his secret command, the Hebrew boys were still alive. The Hebrew population was still growing. Reports from his spies confirmed it. The king was furious. His plan had failed and someone had dared to defy him. So once again, Pharaoh summoned the midwives. Shiphrah and Puah were dragged back into the palace, into the presence of a ruler who was ready to make an example of them. His voice thundered with anger as he demanded an explanation. Why had they disobeyed? Why were the Hebrew boys still living? The stakes had never been higher. Pharaoh demanded answers. The room fell silent as Shiphrah and Puah stood before the most powerful man in Egypt. But these brave women were not without wisdom. Calmly, respectfully, they gave their answer. The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, they said. They are strong, vigorous. Before the midwives can even arrive, they have already given birth. It was a simple explanation drawn from what they had seen with their own eyes. Truthful, yet clever. And for a moment, Pharaoh had no response. The king who commanded armies was left standing there, with nothing to say. In the end, the story did not belong to Pharaoh. It belonged to God, because Shiphrah and Puah feared him, not the powerful king of Egypt, but the Almighty God. He honored their courage, and the Hebrew people continued to grow and thrive. But that was not the only blessing. God built households for these brave women. Think about that. The midwives who protected families were blessed with families of their own. Their legacy was preserved, their names remembered for generations. Shiphrah and Puah remind us of a powerful truth. When you choose to fear God instead of man, your courage can shape history. Fear God, and let your courage change the world.